And we'll start to tune into the breath. So scan the body and just notice how you're holding yourself in this moment. And without any judgment, just observing. Just for a few breaths, and then we can start to soften, ease up a little bit, stack our vertebra. I find that when I first come to seated, I might be leaning forward a little bit, and then chin jutting, kind of leading from the throat. So this might help for you if you kind of tick back an inch or two and then draw the chin down. And for those of you that are a little more advanced in your practice, begin to engage Muladhara Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and Jalandhara Bandha. We'll take 5 breaths together. Moving towards spinal cord breathing. And setting your intention for your practice today. All right, so if you are seated on a bolster, then we want to move it off to the side and come into Sukhasana. Let's start with the right heel in first and then the left in front. So Sukhasana translates to a seat of good space, and we'll begin to whirlpool around. And you might hold on to the knees or the ankles, whatever feels good for your body today. And we're just getting into the hips, now rooting into our seat, and you can take your circles fast or slow. When it feels right, switch directions. Oh, getting into all the crunchies. They're in there somewhere. Speed bumps in the hips, and then switch the direction of your feet and start your circles again. Just noticing any difference. So now left is in, right is in front. Fast or slow. When you find a tight spot, hang out, rock back and forth into it. Oh. We'll wind it down. Bring the soles of the feet together for butterfly pose. Hold on to your toes and flap your wings here, drawing the knees up and down. And then exhale, draw the knees down towards the ground. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine, and then fold forward. Inhale, coming on up, and we want to build some heat in the body, so we're going to find boat pose. So abs are great for building heat anytime you're working the core of your body. So hold on behind your knees, and we'll lift the shins up. Your chest rises, reaching the arms forward, and we'll take 5 breaths. So we're taking this easy. hug your knees. So curling into a tiny little ball, we can rock from side to side. We'll come into Janu Shirsasana. So you're going to extend the left leg forward and bring the sole of the right foot to the inner left thigh. And we'll reach the arms up overhead. Big inhale, lift through the side body, and then exhale, reach forward. So you don't want to get caught up on the foot. Keep your arms reaching out to the side, the chest lifted. So we'll do this 3 times. And inhaling up, there's 1, and then exhale, reach as far as you can. Inhale, come on up. And then exhale, reach. Now, if you want, you can catch your foot or your ankle, or just keep the hands out to the side. And forehead towards knee. Give it a few breaths. And as you inhale, you can lengthen the spine. Exhale, draw yourself in. When you inhale and come up, I want you to bring your right hand back behind you. Ground that right knee and shin. And you're going to lift up and reach back. And look down. You probably want to slide your right knee underneath the hip. So we're coming into a modified side plank. And take some big circles with your left arm. You can even wrap that left arm around your back body for a half bind. Look up and look down. Look down at your right wrist. The wrist is directly underneath the shoulder and the middle finger is coming straight out of the palm. And bring your left hand to your left hip and we'll see if we can lift your left foot up. Holding for a few breaths. And bend your left knee. We'll come to kneeling. So knees together, sit back towards your heels. All right, we're working our abs again. So Lolasana, your hands will come forward towards your knees, and you're going to lift the knees up and lower them down. So you really want to hollow out the deep lower belly. So lift the knees up and lower down. Let's try that 3 more times. So inhale and exhale, lift the knees up. You want to do that on an exhale. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift the knees up. Inhale, lower down. Last one. Very good. All right, so let's bring the hips over to the right, and we'll take a twist. So left hand to right knee, right hand can come back behind you. You can always reach back and catch that left hip. Just taking a little twist here. Now I'd like to give you an option here. So unravel, starting with the belly. Now we're going to come into Heron's pose or Kronkasana, and you can either bring the hips back to center and roll the flesh of your right calf out to the side, and then bring your left leg forward. If this doesn't work for your knees, you can return to the sole of the right foot and the inner left thigh. So yogi's choice there. You can try both on if you like as well. So side view. And inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. This is another variation. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forehead to knee. And inhale, come on up. And go ahead and take hold underneath your left knee. Bring the sole of the foot to the floor. And reach for the bottom of your foot, drawing the heel up towards the sky. Again, keep the heart lifted. Now, if you have a strap at home and you need a little more length for your arms, go ahead and incorporate that. We want to lift out of the curve of the lower back and keep the chest up. Inhale. This front knee is soft. I'm going to press into your right toes. And if you feel open, you can draw the elbows out to the side and the forehead towards the knee, but we are still warming up, so take it easy. And we'll bring the sole of the left foot into the inner right thigh. Hands to the knees. Inhale, lengthen. Now you can point the right toes back behind you or flex your right foot out to the side for a little more. And we can do some circles into that right hip crease. Trying to keep the right hip down. You're going to get nice and long and then slide forward to fold. So we're in a half frog here. And inhale, come on up. Bring your legs forward for boat once more. Holding on behind the knees. Now again, you can keep this 90-degree bend, or you can start to lengthen the legs up. Again, really want to hollow out the deep lower belly, activate your core. Maybe spread out your toes, cats. And hug the knees in towards chest. So we're starting to build up a little bit of heat. You're going to extend the right leg forward this time. I'm going to turn around. All right, so you extend the right leg forward and bring the sole of the left foot into the inner left thigh. Now, if this is difficult for you to sit upright, then I would recommend rolling up the back of your mat so you have a little bit of elevation for your sitting bones. So your sitting bones are on the mat and your shoulders are square to your front foot. All right. So inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, reach forward, reach forward, reach forward like you're reaching to the horizon. Couple breaths. Inhale, come up. Two more. Exhale, reach. Reach with your heart. You might even tuck the chin under. Inhale, come all the way up. And then exhale, we'll dive in, forehead to knee, Janushasana. 5 breaths, and every couple breaths you want to inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale, kind of soften back into the pose as you get that nice stretch running all the way down your right leg. And all the way up your spine. Inhale to rise. Bring the left hand back behind your hips. So you're going to ground your left knee and shin. Point your right toes. Lift the hips up and reach back. So you get this nice kind of heart opening back bend. Wild thing action. And then look down and you're going to bring your left knee under the hip now. So your wrist, your knee, and the arch of your right foot are all in one line. Bring your left palm in a little bit so the wrist is underneath the shoulder. And when you look down, middle finger is coming straight out of the center of your palm and the wrist. So right arm reaches up high, stack your shoulders. And you can look up and down, keeping the chin close to the chest. And your eye of your left elbow spirals forward. A couple big circles, working the range of motion with your right shoulder. And you can wrap that shoulder around the back body, half bind, catching the left hip. Release your tailbone down towards your right heel. Spiral through the ribs. So you're rolling your right rib cage up towards the sky. Just feel a nice opening in the right hip. Active left side body. And look down at your left hand. We're going to shift a little bit of weight forward and lift the right foot up. Again, slide that left shoulder blade down the back, especially if you feel it creeping towards the ears. And now you want to remember your head as well. Your head is an extension of your spine. And now your leg is also an extension of the spine. So you want to bring your heel and the top of your head in the same line. Right hand, right hip. And we'll bring the knees together so right knee comes to meet the left. And here we are in our kneeling pose. So again, using the core to keep some heat building. You plant the hands, lift and lower the knees. Now you can start to make this a little bit more challenging if you want to lift the knees and lift one heel and lower. And then lift the knees and lift the other heel and lower. So exhale and lift. Inhale and lower. Keep going. If you want to try a little hop and lift both feet, landing lightly on your toes. Very good. All right, now bring the hips over to the left this time. Right hand to left knee, we'll take a twist. So insert some, I call these belly balls. You'll roll the belly around, get a nice twist to the left hand side. And you can also take your left hand and wrap it around the back body to catch the right hip. As you exhale, draw your navel in towards your spine. We'll inhale the center. So remember, you can either come back sitting on your heels, so just shifting to center, and roll the flesh of your left calf out to the side, extending your right foot forward. Or if this does not work for your knee, then bring the sole of the left foot into the inner right thigh. All right, so here we go. We're reaching the arms up nice and long through the side body, and then exhale, fold forward. Forehead to knee. And a few spinal undulations is really nice here. You can roll up the back of the neck on an inhale. Heart reaches forward. Remember to keep the chin tucked in. And exhale, forehead towards the knee. Doesn't matter whether or not it gets there today. Inhale, rolling up. And exhale. And you can hold on to the foot, or if you want to keep the hands out to the side, tenting the fingers. We're just looking for the stretch, so, where it's just enough. It's not too much. Then inhale, come on up. Take hold under your right knee, plant the sole of the foot on the floor, and then reach down for your toes. So you want to take the big toe ball mound and the little toe ball mound, and you'll lift the foot up, extend out through the heel. Now it's okay if your knee is bent. As long as you're feeling a stretch down that right leg, you're perfect. Again, if this is super challenging, bring in a towel or a belt at home. The most important part of any pose is the integrity of your spine and your connection to your breath. So you can always bring in the strap for the ball mounds of the foot and hold it there. You want to keep the chest up, the back nice and supported. And for those of you with really open hamstrings, you can dive in, drawing the elbows out to the side, forehead towards knee. Few breaths. And bringing the sole of the right foot into the inner left thigh. So I have a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old puppy, and the two of them play hard. So if you hear animal sounds and babies crying, it's okay. My husband's got it. They're trying to kill each other all day. All day. All right, so we're used to it though. So you want to keep the left toes pointing back behind you, or if you want to make this more challenging, flip your left foot out to the side so the toes are pointing out. Hands to the knees. We're going to circle it out. So we're coming into a half frog. I like, I kind of pride myself a little bit on being able to teach a class of all seated poses, and it'll still kind of kick your butt a little bit. So that's my intention for today. We're not going to get off the floor. There's going to be no vinyasas, but we're still going to sweat. All right, so we're going to rock back and forth into that left hip crease. Try and keep your left hip down, and then we'll slide forward. Inhale, coming up. Swing your legs around. We'll come into boat again. So each time making it a little bit more challenging. So you can extend the legs out. You can reach the arms up. And exhale, take it over to the right. Now if you have blocks at home, you can bring those in, pressing your palms into the sides of your block. Exhale, take it over to the left. Inhaling up. Right on the exhale. Inhale lifts you up. Left on the exhale. And keep flowing. And place the block off to the side, hug the knees in towards the chest, rounding the back. And we'll come into Paschimottanasana. So again, you can roll up the back of your mat just for a little elevation of your sitting bones, those ischial tuberosities, your butt bones. So a little lift. Extend the legs out. And we'll start with Dandasana. So again, if you do have some blocks, put them beside your hips. And you're going to press into the blocks. Move that behind me a little bit. And get nice and tall. So this helps to develop the muscles that are necessary to sit upright. Seated poses are more advanced than standing poses because it requires a great deal of muscular strength and body awareness to be able to sit upright on the floor. And this can take years to cultivate. So your kneecaps are lifting, your quads are engaged, your feet are flexed. Your back body, all the back body muscles are moving in towards the vertebral column to help support your spine. Chest is lifting, remember chin is tucked. And here's a nice exercise because we do tend to lead with the chin as opposed to the heart. So go ahead and let your chin come up and feel how the back of the neck shuts off here. So you might bring your hands to the back of the neck. And we want to keep this nice and long. So you have lots of space for the occiput here, the base of the skull, and your cervical spine, and tops of your shoulders. All right, so here we go. We're going to reach the arms up. You're going to lead with your heart. So keeping the chin tucked in. Reach forward. We'll do this 3 times. Reach forward towards the horizon. Now you can look up with your eyeballs, but keep the chin down. And it becomes confusing when instructors are like, look up. And you want to do it with your whole head as opposed to just your eyes. So again, finding the curve of your lower back, inhale, and exhale, reach. Every time you inhale, like the lifting up is supported by the breath. And every time you exhale, you're bringing it in. So you're bringing your torso to your thighs. So exhale, and we'll hold. Keep the deep lower belly active to protect your lumbar spine, the lower back. I'm going to take a few more breaths. On an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, draw yourself in. I want to scoop out the belly. Now if you're sitting up on your rolled up mat, you want to unroll it behind you. And then we're going to scoop out the belly, roll all the way onto your back. That was effective. All right, so we're on our backs. Again, we're keeping the heat building. Since we're not relying on a whole bunch of chaturangas, up dogs, down dogs, then we'll have to find other more creative ways. So you want to hug the right knee in towards your chest. And we'll take supine twist. So left hand comes to the right knee, take it across the body. Now you can always tuck your right toes behind your left knee. Just a few breaths. Easing any tension in the lower back. And inhaling to center. So a couple circles. This will help to massage your ascending colon. I call this wind relieving pose. And extend out. Hugging the left knee in towards chest on an inhale. Make nice, couple circles. And then right hand guides the knee across the body. So we're still warming up a little, so not taking it to 100%, just maybe 50, 60%. You can turn the gaze over the left shoulder. All right, and here we go. Back to the abs, building some heat. So let's come to center. And we'll switch legs. So extending the left leg out, hugging the right knee in, and you're going to bring your forehead towards your knee and lift your left heel off the floor. Again, scoop out the belly. And we'll switch. Switch. Keeping your head and your shoulders off the floor. Switch. Switch. And hug both knees in towards the chest. Relax your head, neck, and shoulders. Hands to the knees, circle out on the sacrum. All right, one more time. This time you're going to extend your left leg long and you point your right toes towards the sky. And you can hold on to your calf. Bring your forehead towards your knee and switch. Keep going. Now you can always do a little bounce here too if that feels okay. Point your toes. And then hug the knees in towards the chest. Plant the feet. We're going to do a few bridge rolls to counteract our abdominal work. So roll and tuck the shoulder blades underneath the back. Inhale, lift the hips up. You want to press into the four corners of your feet and Your feet are parallel. Knees are parallel. If you have a tendency to let the knees splay out, take a block and place them between your thighs. So inhale, lifting up, and exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. You might interlace your fingers underneath your bottom. Now, about your butt. Let it go. Or shall I say, relax it. So now you can use the strength of your glutes to lift your hips up there, but once they're at the top of the mountain, then relax your glutes and let your thighs do the work. Press your pinkies and forearms into the floor. Breathe into your belly. And we'll lower down slowly. Now I'd like to come into plow pose. So for those of you that are really open, and if you have blocks at home, you might place the blocks beside your ears. You can just come into this the way you did when you were little and draw your legs overhead. All right, now if you can't get your bottom up, if you have a little bit of a lower center of gravity, then you can always scoot yourself over to the wall and use the wall to help lift you up this way. There's always options, but once you're here, don't turn your head to look at me. So when you're ready, chin towards chest, and breathe. Option to bend your knees and hug your ears. And using your hands as brake pads when you're ready to come out, one vertebra at a time, roll down. Hug the knees in towards the chest, windshield wiper from side to side. And plow really helps to open up the lower back, and I wanted to get the abs firing and the lower back nice and open, and the hamstrings stretched before we come in to pigeon. So remember, we're working our way toward full lotus, or half, if that's where we are today. So hug the knees in towards the chest, and we're going to start to rock and roll. So you want to come up, maybe into boat pose, and then rock back. Now you can tap your toes overhead. If you feel really open, here's another option. You can come up into your boat pose, peace fingers, take hold of your big toes, and open up the legs. And then cross at the ankles, and we'll step back into our first downward facing dog. So again, just to keep some heat building, we're going to add a three-legged dog. So lifting your right leg high, inhale, and you can roll your hip open. That always feels good. And we'll bring your knee to your forehead, so close off the hip, round through the spine, on an exhale. Good. Inhale, back three-legged dog. Bring your right knee to your left elbow, crossing the body. Now you can always kick out your foot and open your left hand. Come back to three-legged dog on an inhale. And we'll bring our right knee to our right wrist. Lower the knee down to the wrist, I meant elbow, and up to the elbow, and down to the wrist, and up to the elbow, down to the wrist, and then bring your right foot over towards your left hand, and we'll come into pigeon. So lowering the knee, tap the fingers, inhale, lift the heart, point your left toes back behind you. We can come down onto our forearms. Now you can bring in a block for your forehead. Play with the levels. Now, whenever you're working with a block, this has just always worked for me. This is skyscraper. This is two-story house. And this is a ranch. All right. So before we get too comfortable, take 3 more breaths. And we're shifting over into the right hip, coming into a double pigeon. So you're going to take your left leg, swing it around, and bring your left ankle on top of your right knee. Now here's where those blocks can come into play again. You can always place that block there for support. Ooh, okay, that's tight. Chuck it in. Man. All right. So now moving your pinky toe edge of your left foot as high up into your right groin as you can. All right, hands to the knees. This is plenty. If you'd like to bind, take your left hand, wrap it around the back body, and catch your foot. And we can twist to the left. Join the pit of the stomach in and up. And then unravel, hands to the knees, inhale, exhale, fold forward. And we can lift and lower. Inhale, rolling up, exhale, dive in a little deeper each time, make it nice. Let's cross our ankles and shift the weight forward. Step back into your down dog. Pedal out your heels. All right, so bringing that heat back into the body. Inhale, 3-legged dog, lifting your left leg high and roll your hip open. You can bend your right knee. Make sure your right toes are pointing forward, your kneecaps pointing forward, so your inner thigh is rolling out. We'll close off the hip, inhaling, and exhale, draw your knee to your nose, curl through the spine. Inhale back, 3-legged dog. We'll cross the body, so left knee, right elbow. Option to kick out your foot, and right arm lifts up. And back to 3-legged dog on an inhale. I'm gonna turn around so you can see. You're going to take that left knee to the left elbow to the outside. This will prepare you for arm balances later on. Yeah, you can stick out the foot. And then draw the knee down to the wrist. We're working those abs here. Back up to the elbow, down to the wrist, back up to the elbow, down to the wrist. And then take your left foot, bring it to your right hand, lower the knee. Pigeon pose. Well deserved. Tend your fingers, lift your heart, point your right toes back behind you. Pigeon. Everybody loves pigeon. And then we'll come down onto our forearms, checking in. Now you can also bring in a bolster. Slide it into the belly. Sleepy pigeon. And just passing through. So enjoy 5 breaths. And it really is wise to start high and supported. And then slowly, incrementally start to take your blocks down a notch or slide your bolster out. You can also make fists and stack them up for your third eye center. Now try and keep your hips level here, so your weight's evenly distributed. Now, for those of you that are really open in your pigeon pose too, you might tuck your back toes and lift your knee. Get a little stretch in your right psoas. A little activation, shall I say. And one more big breath in, slow breath out. Well, come on up. So shifting the weight into your left hip, swinging your right leg around. Stack your right ankle on top of your left knee. There we go. Double pigeon. Hui. It's not easy. I never said it was going to be easy. But there's no vinyasas, so it's just different. Circles are always nice for some self-soothing. Now, if your hips are super tight like mine, you might find that your foot kind of comes into the crease of the knee instead of the ankle on top of the knee, and that's okay. But the higher up you get your ankle onto your knee, the more you're going to get into your right haunches. That's the Virginian in me coming out. So a few breaths into your right hip. Yeah, some gentle rocking, some self-soothing is good. Oof. And you might stay here. If you want to come into half Padmasana, half Lotus, bring the pinky toe edge of your right foot as high up into the left hip crease as you can. Right. And then hands to the knees. You might circle again, just checking out this side. If you want to bind, left hand to right knee, right hand comes back around you to catch the right foot. I forgot what side it is. I think it gets confusing. Right. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine. Exhale, make that twist to the right, slowly revolving the rib cage and then the head. Inhale, unravel, come to center, hold on to the knees, sit up nice and tall, and we'll slide forward to fold. And inhale, come on up. All right, unravel your legs. Take the feet forward. So inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, folding in, Paschimottanasana again. And this time you should be able to take it deeper. So one of the good things about this type of sequence is it really helps to open up all the energy lines, meridian lines, of your legs, and it helps to get the knees nice and lubricated. So here's a good time to kind of either rub or make a fist and use the pinky side of your hands, and do a little tappement, a little tenderizing. Inhale up, exhale, fold forward. We're going to meet in Dandasana, so rolling up the spine, hands beside your hips. If Dandasana, again, if it's difficult for you to sit upright at this time, bring some blocks in beside your hips. and we're gonna do some press ups. So you wanna press your hands into the blocks or the ground. So I'll show you with both. Pressing into the blocks, and you're gonna lift your hips up and back, and then lower down. Lift your hips up and back, lower down. So without the blocks, lift your hips up and back, lower down. If you got it, lift your hips up, lift the leg. Ah! And then I'm losing my pants here. And then up. And down. All right, one more time. Perfect. All right, soles of the feet together. Butterfly pose once again. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale. Now we should be able to again take this one deeper. So bring your elbows to the outsides of your shins, folding in. And then inhale up. You're gonna take your right knee up, sole of the foot on the floor, and left foot forward. Really hug it in. Sit up nice and tall, so you can stay here. Or if you'd like to work towards binding, you wanna bring your right shoulder to the inside of your knee as such. So you're on the inside, extend the arm. Turn your thumb down towards the ground, palm faces away from you. And then wrap your arm around your right leg. So now you can see my thumb turning down, palm is facing away from me, and then I'm taking a turn. So the palm is spiraling up towards the ceiling, and then the back of the hand comes to the hip. Left arm will wrap around. So now you'll turn your left thumb down. Back of the hand is facing me. Wrap it around, and they'll interlace. Right on top of your right hip crease here. Right. Inhale. You might heel toe your right foot out to the side just a little bit. You want to keep it on the ground. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale around your back, folding in. And inhale. Come on up. Unravel. Extend that right leg out. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Activate the deep lower belly to protect your lower back. Exhale, fold forward. Now if you're really open, you can cross your wrists, hold on to the sides of your feet. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. For those of you at home, you can also place a block in front of the feet. Now you're pressing your feet into the block, and you're pressing the block into your feet. Inhale, halfway lift wherever you are. And kind of work your rib cage forward a little bit. And exhale, dive in again. And soles of the feet together, butterfly pose. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, diving in. Breathe into your sacroiliac joints, the inside of your groin, into the lower back, kidney space. And inhale, come on up. Now this time you'll extend your right foot forward. Take the left knee, draw it up. The foot's flat on the floor. And then just hug the knee. So you might stay right here, flexing through the right foot, kind of sitting up through the spine, plugging into your sitting bones. You can always move the flesh of your sitting bones back. The fleshy bits. If you'd like to bind, bring your left shoulder to the inside of your left knee. So I'm taking my right hand and I'm holding onto my ankle for now. And then taking the left shoulder inside of the left knee, extend your arm out, turn the thumb down, wrap it around that left leg, and the right arm comes around, interlace your fingers to Ganesha Mudra. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. This might be enough. You can stay here or you can start to round. Keep the left foot And as much as you can, the left hip down on the ground. Round your back. Good, Vinyasa pose. So inhale, come on up. And lengthen out your legs, shake them out. Okay, so I'd like to come into a reverse plank. So we'll start with bending your knees and finding reverse tabletop. So you want to press into your feet, inhale, lift the hips. Now you can start by looking at your navel, kind of slide the shoulder blades down the back. And if it's comfortable for you and your shoulders, you can let the head go back. All right, so from reverse table, you want to draw the hips back and up, pressing into your heels. Here you go, and lifting your bottom, and come back to your reverse table on an inhale. Exhale, draw the hips back so your bottom's off the ground. Inhale. Now if you want to make this more challenging, you can always lift one leg. Point flex. You can lift and lower here. We're making sure that your knee points forward. And then draw back. And inhale, come up. Lifting the other leg. A few breaths. Keep the hips as high as you can and your knee pointing forward. You can lift and lower your foot. Try pointing and then try a few with the foot flexed. All right, and you might stay here. This is a half Eastern plank or reverse plank. And bend the knees, draw the hips back one more time. All right, I'm going to lower down. So for those of you that would like to come into a full Eastern plank, you're going to point your toes, lift your hips up, both legs long, head goes back. A few breaths. And lower down. So hug the knees into the chest, round into a ball. All right, and we have made it to our final pose, either full or half Padmasana. So let's start with half and then we can make our way to full. Oh boy. All right. So start in butterfly pose. Bring the soles of the feet together and the knees out. Take hold of your right foot. And we'll start by bringing the pinky toe edge of the foot into the crook of the elbow. We did this on Tuesday too, if you remember. Something's going on outside. And then bring the right foot up as high as you can into the crease of your left hip. All right, so here we are again in our half lotus. You might try the bind again. You can always fold forward here. Half is plenty. You can bring your hands beside your hips and try and lift your hips up. Now, if you're in half, you want to use that left foot as a little bit of leverage. And again, you can always bring in some blocks as well. That'll help get your bottom off the ground. Eventually, you want to move them away, maybe tent your fingers, and then find your hands out on the floor. If you're ready to come into full lotus, take your left foot, draw it up over that right ankle, and as high as you can, bring your left foot up into the crease of the right groin. So hands on the knees, here's where we want to activate bandhas. Now, full lotus or Padmasana is really designed for meditation. For most bodies, it's not comfortable at first. It would actually be a hindrance to a meditative state. But over time, as the body opens up, and again, we get the energy flowing in the meridian channels, wide open, then this pose will become accessible. We want to begin to activate Muladhara Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha, so the navel draws in and up, Jalandhara Bandha, the pit of the throat, and the back of the neck gets nice and long. So when all three bandhas are activated at once, this is a Mahabandha. We'll do this for a few breaths. Spinal cord breathing. You might hold on to the knees, get a little traction. Focusing at third eye center. And folding in. Ooh. Now here is where we might lift and lower. You can always try half binds and fold on each side. That one's a little harder. Now we're working towards a full bind, so while you're down there you might be able to maybe just touch those toes. So close, so close. You don't want to force it. It's been many a moon since I could come into full Padmasana. Pretty baby. Shake the legs out. Unravel your legs. And make nice, let the blood back in. And we'll try the other side. So let's see, the first time we did right. So now we're going to do left first. So take hold of your left foot, bring it into the crook of your elbow, and rock your left hip, creating some opening. And then bringing the left foot as high up into the right groin as you can. The higher up, the better. And we'll lift and lower a couple times. You've got your lever there, some leverage. Press into your right foot, lift your bottom. Lifting and lowering. And then when you're ready, you can either fold forward in your half lotus, you can work your binds, and bring the right foot up into the left groin. So, and you might find that you can full lotus on one side but not the other, and that's okay. We just want to be mindful. Again, don't try and force this. This can take years to cultivate. And then other times people can just naturally do this from day one because they were born loose, or it's just the way that their hips and their legs, just the way they are. Some of us have to work a long time for it. I'm one of those. I remember the first time, and it was about 6 months of a consistent practice, the first time I was able to come into Padmasana, and I was so excited. But again, Padmasana is so that when you're meditating, you don't fall over, so that you're nice and sturdy, and you won't when you're lost in samadhi, in these blissful meditative states and super conscious levels of awareness, that you won't topple over. That's it. No big deal. So you might take a half bind. Again, get your twists in. You can try both sides. Hands to the knees, we'll dive in, folding in. Now, if you're in full lotus, you can also work on lifting. A little bit more vacuum abdominal work. Lift and lower. You can even swing. And when you're ready to come out, like a genie out of a bottle. Shake out your legs. Oh, yeah. You can feel how this affects the meridian lines down the legs. You might try that Chakotma one more time. We're going to roll onto our backs for Shavasana. So if you have a bolster at home, I highly recommend bringing it in and just lying back. Any final poses that you need, go ahead and bring those in. Complete your practice. Get nice and comfortable. Take up some space on your mat. So when you do come into your corpse pose, take the legs out, take the arms out, palms face up to receive the abundance of energy all around you. And turn all of your awareness inward. So withdrawing from the external environment, moving into pratyahara, sense withdrawal. And when you really get proficient at withdrawing your awareness from external environments, you'll find that your internal landscape is just as interesting, if not more so. There's always something to pay attention to. Listen to the sound of your breath. Feel your heart beating. Maybe even your stomach gurgle. Give yourself full permission to relax for the next few minutes. There's nothing left to do. Transitioning from doing to being and sensing. Feeling. Witnessing. Start to bring some movement back to the body. your way over onto your side and pause. Now, when it comes to Shavasana and meditation, and sense withdrawal, you typically will practice these things with our eyes closed. This came across my mind. I observed this thought, so I'd like to share it with you, especially for new practitioners and then for teachers. You don't have to do Shavasana with your eyes closed, especially if you're depressed, because we're already too in and we want to keep some of our awareness out, so that we don't go into habitual, dark mental patterns. So especially during these times where there's so many people frustrated and in pain and battling with depression, it's okay to practice with your eyes open slightly. So especially in a meditative position, you can find a point on the floor to gaze at. And this will help to keep a portion of your awareness outside of your body and mind complex. And so that's just another way of practicing. So I wanted to give you that little pearl there in case you're suffering from depression at any time in your life. So especially during a pandemic, there's so much uncertainty. So thank you for practicing with me today. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in you. Namaste. I'd like to close with a round of Om, taking in a deep belly breath. So be well and happy Friday.